Hey guys, just finished challenge 6. Yes, challenge 6. So happy. What I did for this one is I looked at the other and the unfamiliar, and I decided I was going to become a cripple again today. And what I did is I literally, walked around as if I had a deformity the whole day. And it was intense. The inspiration that I got from this was I was doing my creatives of the week, and one person who I always wanted to use, or can't really call him a person, but more fictional character, was Tyrion Lannister. Uh, I've always loved his character throughout the whole book series. So I've read all of the Game of Thrones series, and then also through the HBO hit TV series. And there's a saying that I was so pleased that they used it in the TV series from the book. And there's two versions of it. There's one where he says, once you accept your flaws, nobody can use them against you. And the other one is expanding on that, saying, accept what you are, because people will never forget. And wear it like armor, because then it can't be used against you. So roughly the same thing, but two different ways of saying it. But I've always really appreciated that line. I thought, hit the nail on the head there. But why I'm talking about Tyrion here is I've used that saying as part of my creative of the week as inspiration, because looking at that saying, it goes to what we construct as our constructed selves, that what we put out there towards people so that they see. But what I'm looking at with this one is the fact that he is a cripple, in the sense of, and he's deformed because he is a dwarf. And it got me thinking about, other characters in the Game of Thrones series, like Bran Stark, who is a cripple. He's a paraplegic, he can't use his legs. And then about other people who are cripples in our day-to-day lives. And there's a couple that I've actually seen recently while doing this project, while going around, like in particular to Lucia Moldo. And what struck me is they have these ailments, if you want to call it that, and they've obviously come up with ways to compensate for them, but also people give them a real wide berth, and people don't like interacting with them just because they're different and they're uncomfortable, and being around these people make people uncomfortable, and you really feel sorry for them, because it's not necessarily their fault that they are a cripple or that they have these deformities, but because they don't fit the norm, and it's not 2 ears, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, two properly functioning arms and two properly functioning legs, and because it's not all that, people then are very uncomfortable, because it's not the stereotypical person, or it's not the way people are meant to be. So you almost kind of seen as a freak, a freak of nature type thing, and you're definitely ostracized, but very much given a wide berth. And people stare and point, and like young children, because they don't understand, they draw attention to it, and they're like, oh, mommy, daddy, look at that person, and things like that, and that's, I often think, isn't nice for them as cripples, because it's drawing attention to something that they already have to live with and they know about, and it's making it even more known. And like when I come across a cripple or a person who has a deformity, I deliberately try not to draw attention to whatever deformity or ailment they have. I try to communicate or interact with them as if they were the normal person, to try make them feel as less or as little socially awkward as possible. Because, I mean, can you imagine how hard it is for them every day, having to go through life? I mean, this one you can link back to the not using the arm challenge that I did, where they obviously have to figure out ways of doing things that we people who are completely able-bodied do, and take for granted, and they have to figure out other ways of doing it, and overcoming these things, which now become challenges towards them, whereas for us it's like unscrewing a bottle. This is really simple, but for them, doing that is if you've got one arm, or you've got one arm with a deformed hand, it's a struggle. And so they actually have a better outlook on life. They some that I've met are more optimistic than pessimistic. I know some of my friends, I mean, we're all able-bodied, but they're more pessimistic about life because things aren't going their way because of really something trivial and stupid. But these other people, they look at it and see it as a challenge because everything to them is a challenge. And they're like, well, I'll find a way to overcome it. So for them, it's more optimistic, whereas for us, it's more of a brick wall. And it's like, I'm not going to get through that. So I wanted to experience this, what it's like to be a cripple, so I can put myself in their shoes to get the reactions that people give them, and also to understand what it's like to be a cripple in today's modern society. I mean, when you think about it, these cripples that I've spoken about, that I come into contact with, and that I've seen on a day-to-day basis, going to the mall and things, people aren't very forthcoming with help. I mean, there's this one guy who goes to my church. I'm not sure what's wrong with him. I've never found out. But I mean, I talk to him and greet him and stuff when I see him. He's a really nice guy. He's an old chap. But he walks with two crutches, and his legs are... He can't use them properly. I mean, there's a couple of days, I think, when his legs are probably really bad. He comes in a wheelchair. But... I mean, he's got a specially made car that, you know, those cars where you don't have to use your legs to drive, and you can, everything's on paddle and stuff. He's got one of those, which I think is great for him because that's people trying to help him out as much as possible. But, I mean, like he'll come to church by himself, and people know him, people like him, but nobody goes to help him. And why? I mean, I haven't seen him for a while now, but people don't straight away go to help him. There's one or two people who I know who will sit by him, and if he's struggling, will help him and be like, let me help you and let me do this for you. But I mean, the rest of the congregation is like just under sometimes 200 of us in a mass, and out of 200, maybe 5 help him. I mean, it's actually sickening, and that's what society's come to nowadays. I mean, we see people who need our help, and we don't help them. We'd rather point and stare, or ostracize them, or judge them, or give them strange glances because they make us feel uncomfortable, and try and make them uncomfortable because they're doing that to us. And that's such a huge issue to me. So I wanted to try tackle that by being an able-bodied person. And it wasn't to mimic and to offend cripples or people who have some kind of deformity. This was to experience what they go through, and to experience people's reactions to them. It wasn't, like, say, to mock them in any way. I have complete respect for them, for the way they overcome their challenges and things. Like, there's that guy in America, I never get his surname right, but it's Nick Vujicic. But he's that guy, he's a motivational speaker. He's practically a torso with a head. I think he's got a little stumpy hand thing on the side of his shoulder. He hasn't got legs. He hasn't got and his other arm is cut off just above the elbow. But he literally has no limbs. But nothing stops this guy. I mean, if you follow him, you'll see him surfing. You'll see him doing tons of things. He's got a child with his wife, and like I say, he lives a perfectly normal life, and he doesn't let anything get in his way. And so I seriously admire people like him with this real go-get attitude in life, instead of, oh, flip, I don't have limbs, so I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and mope, or like able-bodied people who just mope because they can't do something, when there's a guy like that who really should. He has a very valid reason to be upset with life, and he makes the best of it, and he does everything he can. So yeah, that's the theory behind it, and I did this for a day. I really struggled, in particular, keeping my hand and arm like this for a day. It's actually quite sore, so I can understand now with some cripples the amount of pain that they actually go through, with the actions that their bodies have taken on at forms. It is actually painful keeping your arm in a position and your wrist in a position like that for a long period of time. And then on top of it, I felt false. I I really felt like a fake, and although the aim wasn't to mock cripples, it really felt like during the challenge that I was mocking cripples. And what I thought was interesting is, although that's how I felt internally, people externally who didn't know me, who came into contact with me, obviously thought I was a cripple, and they really gave me a wide berth, and a lot of them gave me like full-on stare downs and stuff like that, and I could see I was making them uncomfortable by being uncomfortable, and being a cripple, and I thought, and while I was doing this, I was thinking to myself, I thought, obviously I don't have to live with this every day, but this is something a person has to live with every day of their life, and they are naturally uncomfortable, but they live with it and they deal with it, and then whoever you are, Joe Blog on the street, are making them even more uncomfortable. And just because it's not the norm, and because it makes you uncomfortable, I thought, what right do you have to do that to them? Why don't you rather come across and help them and get a better understanding of why they're a cripple, why they've become that way, or what the story is? Because by getting a better understanding of who they are, you'll look less at what they are, if that makes sense. And for me, that was such a big thing. I thought, it's once again judging a book by its cover. You're looking at a person and judging them compared to actually looking at them and understanding them and seeing where they come from and then judging them. Not that judging is a good thing, but I mean, you're not getting to know a person before you judge them. You're just like, you're a cripple, I'm avoiding you, you're making me uncomfortable, I'm going to try and get you out of my space as quickly as possible, or get out of this space as quickly as possible because I don't want to be associated with you. And that's another thing. People, didn't really want to be associated with me. They didn't want to be around me because then suddenly you're associated with the cripple guy. And either you're often like if a lady's doing it, you're a super kind lady, and you're a health care lady, and you're a caregiver and stuff like that. And you're very caring and kind, but strange enough, if a guy is doing it, in particular, if it's another guy like myself who's crippled for a day, it's not manly, because it's more of a woman's role in society nowadays to look after cripples, babies, children, anything like that. Nowadays, it's all still seen as the woman's role, and so a man doing that, it's like, oh, that guy's strange, or that guy's, oh, that's strange. Why is he helping that guy? Type thing. It's not. Nobody sees it as just a person showing kindness anymore, and that I see as a huge problem. So that was also what I was trying to tackle in doing this challenge. I think I did it pretty well. I drew attention to the fact that people are very negative towards other people who have some kind of deformity, and through the process I became more empathetic, because then instead of just saying, oh, this is what they go through, I actually went what they go through. And it's intense. I mean, I'm hypoglycemic. So what that means is my blood sugar drops all the time. So that's why at college, people who know me and see me, I will constantly be eating in lectures. Like, you'll see me open biltong at a certain time between the morning session and lunch, and usually like a little bar or something. And then something else if I have later sessions after lunch. It's midway between lunch and the end of the day. And I have to do that to keep my sugar up, otherwise I become exceptionally grumpy, my sugar levels drop, and I literally cannot think. It's my brain then becomes like a sieve. And you'll talk to me and I can't remember what I'm doing or saying or thinking. It's not fun. Don't become hypoglycemic if you can avoid it. But anyway, that's like my deformity, if you want to call it that, and because I am a bigger guy, as I've said in a couple of my other videos, because you are bigger in today's society, you don't fit the male stereotype of being this almost, my dad and I call it like a triangle, where you're heavy at the top with shoulders, and you got these like skeletal legs, you're top heavy, and so I don't fit that whole body construct. And so when people see me eating, it's like, oh, you're a fat guy eating more. It's like, don't you want to try to lose weight or something? And the irony is, last year, the year before, I used to weigh over 130 kgs. I actually weigh now 96, which is a lot less. But because of what I have to go through, and people don't understand, no matter how many times you say to them, like, as well, and saying, oh, I do the Banting diet, and then they see me take out Tic Tacs, and Tic Tacs is how I regulate my sugar. Instead of having medication, I'll take maybe 1 or 2 Tic Tacs during the day if I feel my sugar's going low. And then they'll be like, oh, but you do banting, but you eating Tic Tacs, what the hell? You're such a contradiction. And oh, I thought you tried to lose weight and all this kind of stuff. But they actually don't take the time to understand what I have to go through and how sick I actually feel if I don't have all these things in place, and how my hypoglycemia actually affects me. So to a certain extent, I understand what a cripple goes through, or somebody who has a deformity in that sense, but obviously not to the full extent of the physical deformity. Mine's internal compared to external. My mom has psoriasis, and I've grown up as a child, always knew my mom had psoriasis, and for me, it never fazed me. And when my parents got married, my mom's had psoriasis since she was like 16. And she turned around to my dad the one day and said, but, how can you love me with psoriasis? And he's like, I don't see it. And I don't care about that. And it's the funny thing. It's the same with me with looking towards my mom. I know she has psoriasis, but it's like, oh, cool, she has psoriasis, whatever. I don't see it or pay attention to it. And that was a thing when I was at school in grade 11. Yeah, I was grade 11. Got a new Afrikaans teacher, and she also had psoriasis. So I smiled to myself, and I thought, oh, has psoriasis. Never drew attention to it once. And she had it quite bad as well. And straight away, within the moment she wore a slightly shorter sleeved shirt, people suddenly picked up she had psoriasis and were drawing attention, like pointing and like, man, what's on your arm? And did you burn yourself and all this kind of stuff? And it suddenly made her very awkward, and she felt very awkward explaining it, and became very uncomfortable. Whereas for like 4 weeks of the year already, she'd been really comfortable with us. And I turned around to her and I said, and I explained it actually to everyone in my class because she was struggling so much. And she looked at me and she said, but how do you know so much about it? And I said, because my mom has it. And I said, so it doesn't faze me. And so I understand, like I say, the awkwardness that people go through with this. And I think it's so horrible what other people who are normal put people through who have these deformities and abnormalities, because really there's, okay, yes, you physically there may be something wrong with you, but there's, other than that, there is nothing wrong with you. You may be emotionally and spiritually and stuff, and who you are as a person no different from me, you, or that other guy down the road or something. We're all the same, so I can't understand why we won't help each other. And yeah, like I say, help each other, and why we judge each other all the time. So that's what I tackled in this challenge. I think I did it well. Yeah, it's been another long video. I'm sorry, guys. It's something I get quite intense about. Like I say, I don't agree with society, with everything that goes on nowadays, and the way people are towards each other. It drives me insane. So yeah, I think I've done this one well. I nailed it. It was a massive struggle, like trying to do things throughout the day, like say unscrewing a bottle, hard. It's similar to the other one about not using your arm. Once again, challenges of pace towards you when you're all hand crinkled up like this, and so you have to find ways of overcoming those challenges and just finding a new outlook on life as well. You become less pessimistic and more optimistic. You see things more as a challenge and as something you want to overcome, rather than, sorry for the language, but oh shit, I can't do that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So, okay, I'm editing that out. Okay. So yeah, that's the video. That was my challenge. I really think I did well. I struggled throughout the day. Like I say, I really felt false doing it, but I think I got my message across, and I think I'm definitely showing through these challenges. I'm getting the right reception from people. I'm calling the right reactions, and I'm once again just showing how horrid society can actually be, and the influence it has on us as people. Instead of like a person just being who they want and wanting to go help somebody, now suddenly that person makes me uncomfortable, so no, I'm not. But if they were our friend, we would help them. So, yep, I've nailed this one. I literally have nothing more to say, otherwise I'm going to keep you here all day. But thanks for watching, guys. I have one more challenge to do, just one more. please be with me for the next one. I know it's been a long and hard journey for you guys watching all these like 20-minute videos, and for me. But one more, gonna bring it home, and then it's challenge and project done. Yes, finished. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're having a good week. Cheers.